It's 2 a.m., long way to go. It's dark all over, the moon's starting to glow. Gotta stay awake, no matter what I do. Wanna see my girl when the night is through. I'm driving on, and I gotta be strong, and it won't be long till I'm driving on. She'll be waiting for me to pull in. I'll be so happy to let loving begin. I've been away, couldn't get home. Now I'm ready, been too long gone. And I'm driving on, and I gotta be strong, and it won't be long till I'm driving on. Standing in my eye, she'll be waiting for me to come on by. Time is moving, it's getting late. I'm speeding up, no, I can't wait. I'm driving on, and I gotta be strong, and it won't be long till I'm driving. Driving on, and I gotta be strong, and it won't be long. I'm driving on.
Hey everyone, welcome to Big Blend Radio. Today we're super excited to have Scott Holt, the lead vocalist and guitarist of the classic rock band Foghat, join us on the show today. They have a new album coming out November 10th, 2023. Go to foghat.com right now to pre-order. It is called Sonic Mojo. It's the best title for this album. It is a little bit of everything. Actually, what you heard of Foghat in the past, you'll get some surprises on this album now. But at the same time, it still has that elevation sound. It's the boogie. It's got the boogie in there. So welcome to the show, Scott. How are you?
I'm good, Lisa. How are you?
Good, good. But you know what I mean, man. You got the elevation in the music. Every song, you still got to lift, get us up there, get that boogie going.
That's our job. That's our job.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm excited to talk with you because you've got an interesting career as most of the members of the band, well, all the members of the band. And so you got, is it your start with Buddy Guy, like one of my heroes? Like, how dare you?
Yeah, yeah. He's my hero
seriously.
too.
Dude, seriously.
Yeah, I joined his band in 1989 and was with him for little over 10 years. I left in 2000.
Wow, man. Just before one of my favorite albums too, Sweet Tea.
Which one? Oh yeah, Sweet Tea. I love that record.
It's a good record. And so like you kind of got your chops going with him, or like give us a little background to your start in guitar and also vocals?
Well, I'd been playing guitar when I met Buddy. I'd been playing guitar for about 6 months, and
What?
yeah, and I met him, and he gave me a guitar lesson. We got to know each other, and about a year after we met, he invited me to join his band, and so I said yes immediately, and he told me to go get a passport, and that was it. I got on the road with him and learned everything I could from him.
How did you even get a guitar lesson with a buddy guy? Like seriously, all of us are sitting there going, I want a lesson. I heard
Well,
he's retiring after this tour this year. I want a lesson.
he was probably a little easier to get to back then than he would be now. My dad actually set it up. He just called him up cold, didn't know him or anything, and just said, "My son wants to learn how to play guitar. Could he meet you?" And
No
Buddy said, "Sure."
way.
So he took me to a gig. Buddy and Junior Wells were playing a gig in Florida, and my dad took me there, and we went backstage and met Buddy, and he invited me to his hotel the next day. He said, "Come by and I'll give you a guitar lesson." So I went the next day, and we sat in his hotel room for about 4 hours, and he just showed me stuff and told me about Little Walter and Sonny Boy, and I left there knowing that that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So I've been really
Yeah.
blessed since then.
Well, I mean, you got to hear. I mean, do you listen to your guitar work? It's badass.
I try not to listen to it too much. I only hear the mistakes. So
Oh man, I know it's net wild how we all are as human beings. Like we don't want to hear like, yeah, it's but your guitar. I mean, the band is really super tight.
yeah, it's
And
a great band.
I mean, Foghat is like really you think of like slow drive, when I think about slow ride, just driving, we travel full time. So we're on a permanent road trip
Right.
across America with what we do. And how do you not listen to slow ride as you're driving? And I mean, it just takes you back, and at the same time it's like one of those building songs again, that elevation music,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
levitation. It's more than
That's it.
elevation, it's levitation. And so going on to the album now, you've got Driving On, and that to me is like this, it's like part two from the two.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
It's
mean?
it's a nice synergy. I mean, that particular song was written by Kim Simmons. So you've got the
Oh,
full circle. You've got the from Savoy Brown, the birthplace of Foghat, all the way through these years, and it's come kind of full circle with Kim writing that song for us.
oh wow, because we had Pat and Garnet on the show last year, right after Kim had passed
Yeah.
and they had, put out his album, and it was still really hard to even get through it. It's sad.
Right.
Kim is
Right.
like an icon, and I don't think people really, I think unless you really know Savoy Brown, he's like an icon to all of us blues lovers,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
an underrated sometimes, I
I
think
think so
personally.
too. I agree with that. I think he's very underrated. But he was such a kind person. I got to know him quite a bit
Oh,
through the Foghat camp, and he was always so supportive of me and so complimentary of me, and just a really cool guy to be around, and loved to play music, loved to play his guitar, and that's what he lived for.
can you give everyone that may not know the connection between Savoy Brown and Foghat a little history on that? Because it's good stuff, and you've got, isn't it three of his songs on the album?
Yeah, we put three of them on there, and the way it all began, Roger would be better to tell the story than me, but Savoy Brown, Roger played drums in Savoy Brown, and Lonesome Dave was the singer and guitarist. And then they decided to break off and form Foghat. So they got Rod Price and Tony Stevens, and they became Foghat in like 71, I think. And from there, I mean,
Wow.
Roger and Kim stayed friends throughout all the years. And so when we got ready to do this record, we asked Kim if he would write us a song and play on it. And he said, sure. So he wrote us 4 songs, but he didn't live to be able to record with us, which was, but we're
Mm.
glad we were able to put the songs on the record.
Yeah. Now, how did you get in touch with everybody in Foghat? How did that happen?
That was another kind of weird thing. A mutual friend of ours, they were looking for an understudy for their lead singer in case he couldn't do a gig or something, if he needed to bow out for some reason. So I met up with them back in 2016, maybe, and started writing songs with them, and we started recording right off the bat and just hit it off as friends. Roger and I just clicked immediately. So we started writing songs, and they needed, I think, one or two more songs for the Under the Influence album. And we ended up writing 17. So we had to form another band so that we could put another record out called Earl and the Agitators, just because we had all these songs laying around. And that was a fun project, but we could never seem to make it work because it was 3/4 of Foghat and me. And the only time we could play live is at Foghat shows. So that meant Roger was doing 2 shows and Brian was doing 2 shows. So we eventually just said, man, we're just going to have to, put this to the side. And then when Charlie decided to retire back in 2000, what was it, 21, I think, Roger asked me if I'd like to join the band, and I said, yeah. And so I've been here ever since.
Wow. And Roger's brother's pretty famous too. He's got some claim to fame.
Colin was in the band Mungo Jerry. And they had a big hit with In the Summertime, and he actually wrote a song for this record that Roger brought the lyrics to us.
I love
that
it.
he had for a while, and we messed with it and turned it into a song. So
that's the one that honors Hank Williams, right?
Yeah, it's called I Wish
I was
I'd
just
Been
listening to that. Yeah. That's cool.
Foghat Goes Country.
I know, and I was listening, I was like, whoa. But in some ways, part of the album kind of gives me a little ZZ Top vibe in there. I don't know why, but it just does.
Well, probably because we're drawing from the same sources. The blues is the foundation for everything. So everything that Foghat's ever done comes from the blues and comes from American music. All the American art forms, country, jazz, R&B, all those great types of music that we have in this country, Foghat's always utilized and accessed forever. And when you talk about ZZ Top and that type of groove, you take that groove all the way back to like John Lee Hooker and Slim Harpo and people like that. So that's kind of what we were channeling, is probably the same sources that they use.
It's interesting to me listening because you've got the blues and then there's this warmth, yet you've got that chop and the levitation all at the same time, which I think is kind of hard to achieve, to have that where it doesn't get too technical. There's this balance that is just, it goes with the soul.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we our goal is to play with integrity and enthusiasm all the time. I mean, we love to play. Every one of us loves to play. So every show is like an exciting celebration for us. I always tell the audience, I guarantee you we had more fun tonight than you did. No matter how much fun the audience has, we're having more fun.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, it's true. I mean, do you get excited to just go up and show, like,
I love it. I love it. I can't wait. In fact, I'm sure I drive the band crazy, but about 10 minutes before we go on stage, I'm pacing. I find some place backstage to just pace back and forth. And it's just like this energy is just building and building and building. So when we come out, we just explode out of the gate,
How do you guys keep all your energy? Because you all different ages, right? All from different backgrounds. How do you keep your energy? Because it's there. Like I was watching, the video for Driving On, and it's like your energy's there. And how do you do that? Because you guys I was looking at your touring schedule. I mean, you're going to the Belly Up in Solana Beach. So all my San Diego friends, you got to go. It's one of my favorite venues. I don't know. It's just like you can go eat. It's just so cool. I love the Belly Up, but But you're all over the place. How do you keep up with that energy?
Well, I mean, we feed off the music and we feed off the audience, and they give us that energy back. Everybody in this band's, relatively healthy. We take care of ourselves. Roger's in probably better shape than any of us. He's the Energizer Bunny of the band. But it's just music keeps you young. It just it gives you energy and just gives you life. And it's a very powerful force.
I think it's cool that Foghat is still rocking. Like, it to me, that is so crucial to keep that torch going. Do you feel that as like, the newer guy on the front, like keeping that torch moving forward?
Absolutely. There's a huge responsibility when you have a band that has a 50-year history. There's a huge responsibility to pay respects and honor that history while moving forward. If we were just playing the old Foghat hits, it would be a different kind of band. It would be a different kind of show. But because it's an active band with we write new songs, we play new songs, and we play them with the same energy and the same integrity as we play Slow Ride, or we play I Just Want to Make Love to You. And I think that's one of the things that makes Foghat unique in their era of bands, is that they've never stopped. It's
keep progressing.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's even interesting, like Sonic Mojo, you've got other songs like from Chuck Berry on there. So you've got your new, and at the same time you're going, we're pulling in from the past too. We want people to still hear these tracks.
Right.
And I think that's kind of, I think Foghat's always kind of done that, I think.
They've always done that. I mean, you go back to the first album and you've got a song on there that was written by Willie Dixon and first recorded by Muddy Waters. So, they've gone, Maybelline off of one of their records was a Chuck Berry song,
Right.
But they've covered songs from people like Rodney Crowell, great country songwriter. So they've drawn from every area, either through inspiration or covering somebody else's music to create what has become Foghat, and this is the 17th album. So it's a big catalog.
Now, when you're putting the album together, how do you know what covers you're going to put in there? Aside, like Kim Simmons, I mean, that's his new songs that you guys get to work with and carry his torch forward, and the Foghat, Savoy Brown, relationship, which I think is beautiful. Right. But like putting Chuck Berry on there, things like that. Who came up with that one? Like, okay, is it?
It's kind of a group. Yeah, it's kind of a group thing. Everybody suggests stuff. I know Roger, came up with a bunch of the stuff that we did. I had a couple of things laying around that appealed to everybody, so we had those in there. Brian's always got suggestions. Rodney's always got suggestions, and we just kind of, as a group, put it together, and we know pretty quick if it's working or not. And there was a couple of times while we were recording that the song that we were working on just wasn't clicking. And in one occasion, we just put it to the side for a couple of days and came back to it and figured out a way to do it, and it worked. And another situation, we put it to the side, brought it back, it still wasn't working. We said, you know what, this isn't worth chasing. So songs are, they tell you where they need to be and when they need to be there. So
it's kind of like with writers, who are writing a novel, like suddenly they think this is what the novel's going to be like, and their characters start talking to them in their heads. And I'm like, do you need to see a shrink, man?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same way with music too, right?
It's like, exactly the same way. But that's the beautiful thing about art is art reminds you that life isn't what you plan and steer it and make it happen. Life is all the other stuff that happens, while you're trying to get your thing on.
John Lennon, yep.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Somebody else put it like, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
I love that. I love that.
So when we start putting a record together, if we walk in the room with a preconceived idea, okay, we're going to make this record, this is how it's going to sound, I guarantee you that's not what's going to come out the other end. It's going to be a wild mismatch, just like this record was. I mean, we didn't plan on this record being this way. It just how it turned out. It's what it is.
That's creativity, man. I love that part. It's just like cooking. You know what I mean? It's like, but other than this, I didn't know the Spice would do that with that one. Hey, they became friends. We dig it.
Exactly. And if you plan it, you won't get that.
That's really true.
You got to dump the whole box of crayons out and use them all.
Yeah. I saw someone wrote the other day, like, for all you crayon eaters, yes, it's candy corn season. Corn candy season. I'm still thinking about that. And every time I think of that, my teeth want to literally bend. Like, no.
Exactly.
I love the title Sonic Mojo. I think that is like the coolest. That's even like a band name, the title of the album.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Yeah.
I dig that. I think it's perfect. It is absolutely perfect.
It's definitely perfect for this record. I mean, it's again that we came up with that as a group, and it was just it's just what made sense, what fit for that.
Now, are you playing some of the new songs on tour now with you guys at all the shows?
Sweet. We were playing She's a Little Bit of Everything already, and then we released Driving On as a single, so we started playing that. Sweet. and we got another single coming out. I'm not sure the release date on it, but it's called "I Don't Appreciate You," and we've
I love that song.
oh,
Yeah.
you do? Good, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, I like that one. That's good. I like that. Um, Now when people pre-order, right? So everyone, November 10th is like the day, but you can get it now. So
Yeah,
there's all kinds of bundles and special things, but you guys have a CD, which yep. I still
right.
have a car with a CD player for that reason,
Good for
which is
you.
sweet. And you
It's
got liner
rare.
notes. Is it got a booklet in it and
Oh
everything,
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah. It's the
and
full deal.
vinyl. You've got, isn't it? It's purple? Purple
Purple
vinyl?
vinyl. Yeah, yeah.
Sweet. Prince would be happy.
He would be. He would be. I'm excited about that too. So
Oh man, so that's limited edition. So that's where people need to jump for that one, right?
yeah, it'll be a limited run of the vinyl, I'm sure. But yeah, it's I've actually got a test copy that I've been listening to, and it just sounds fantastic. So
Man, I'm so glad vinyl's coming back. I think, all the people like Jack White and stuff, whether people like his music or not, I think the fact that he helped vinyl get back on track
oh yeah,
is huge,
absolutely, absolutely. I actually own a record store here in my
No way.
hometown, Columbia. Yeah, and Jack's just up the road. Third Man Records is just up in Nashville, and yeah, so we've seen a huge upsurge in vinyl sales, and our record store is doing great, and it's primarily vinyl. So I'm happy that it's coming back.
I am too. I mean, there's just something, a warmth of the sound that you can't get. That's
Yeah,
different. It's cool to be able to stream. Like I wish we could have vinyl in the car, but I know like I'm maybe Elon Musk will figure that one out. Maybe I
right.
shouldn't say that. But anyway, we won't go there.
Well,
But you
when you're
know,
traveling, like you travel all the time, when I travel, I have a hard drive that has my whole
mm,
record collection on it, so I
yeah,
can
that's the
listen to
way.
music on the road. But when I'm at home, 99% of the time, I'm listening to my albums. So
Yeah, and it's just nice to take them out of the sleeve, sit down,
yeah,
and actually listen from start to finish. Like I'm
mhm,
terrible about the names of songs
right,
because I'm just into the album. And then people are like, well, this song, that song. I'm like, I don't know which one it was. I think it was the third or fourth. It's just
right,
the vibe,
yeah,
because to me, when it's like an album is like solidifying a set list that goes out, which
right,
is a very difficult thing. So to get the flow right and which goes where, what goes on it is like those are decisions that suddenly you just once it's done, you have to, you can't go back. It's like
yeah.
the
You got to
painting's
live with it.
finished.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing about albums that always appealed to me was, in the old days, um, the set of the album was like a journey. It was like a trip. This song was intended to be number one, and this song was intended to be the last song, and everything in between. And that's kind of how we paced this record. We put it together with the intention that somebody could listen to it from the beginning to the end and get a fuller a journey. I know that these days with MP3s and all that stuff and streaming, that people just pick and choose and listen to whatever they want to, and this record's good for that too. You can start in the middle and work your way out. It's fine
Yeah.
any way you want to do it, but it's definitely something that we put together with the intention of you listening to it from front to back.
Yeah. That's how I like to listen instead of the Spotify shuffle, and they take
Right,
away certain
exactly.
songs too. When you guys perform live, do you use the same set list every place you go, or do you change it up by the vibe of the place?
Usually what we do is we get together at the first of the year and put together a set list that we feel like is indicative of the history of Foghat and where we're headed in the future. And
Oh
then we
wow.
pretty much we stay with that set for the remainder of the year with certain exceptions. We've added songs this year throughout the year as we've gone on. And there's sometimes when somebody requests something and we'll try to put that in there. But it's when you have a catalog as big as Foghat's, you can't play all their songs or else the show's 12 hours long. So you have to kind of make those
That's all
hard
right.
choices. Well,
It's
yeah,
a,
it's easy.
I know,
You
but
gotta lay down sometime.
it's funny because I've heard like our friends, Mr. and Mrs. Wild, they're the ones sponsoring the show. They're the owners and innkeepers of the Lion and the Rose Bed and Breakfast in Asheville, North Carolina. And they go to every concert that they're either out watching for wildlife or they're out at a gig somewhere watching music. And they just went to a show and she said at 10 o'clock they stopped and it wasn't the band's fault. Like ordinances, 10 o'clock,
Yeah.
that's it. Everybody ends. Are you finding it more and more like that across the country these days? That it's kind of
But
like, that's it.
you have those
Yeah.
sometimes. I mean, there's curfews in certain places, and it depends on the venue and it depends on what we're doing. And then there's some places where they say just go till you feel like stopping, you know. So that's just, you know, the part of the thing about touring is you're always dealing with different situations. You know, you got different stages, different, you know, sound equipment, and you just kind of, you know, you learn to adapt to whatever you're presented with, you know, because the music is the main thing. That's we're there to play the music. So
Yeah, just do whatever you need to do and have a
yeah,
good time with the audience, get that energy, because that's the thing is the energy. And
right.
how did you guys do during COVID, where it was like, did you guys do any streaming shows, or did you just go, okay, we're going to record a record? What happened during COVID for you guys?
Well, during COVID, of course, I wasn't the singer during COVID. I had
Oh,
my own
that's right.
band at that time, and yeah, I did do streaming shows. I mean, there were no gigs, so
Yeah.
you know, I mentioned my record store earlier. We set up in the record store and would live stream a show once a week, and we did that for about a year, and just
Wow.
every Friday night we were playing, and it was therapeutic for me. I mean, I needed to play, and
Yeah.
you know, and it was bizarre, like everybody else experienced bizarreness with the COVID thing. I mean, there was no audience, there was no, you know, you end a song and it's dead silence, you know, and that
And here's like
on a
little
line of
thumbs up
work that
coming up
rarely
on the
happens.
screen. Yeah,
Exactly,
the
exactly.
thumbs up. It's awesome, but it's not the same. I mean, it
It's not the
had to have been
same.
the first time getting out on stage with Foghat. It had to be like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, every time I've played with them, even before I was in the band, when I was just sitting in, the energy level's just intense. You know, you get on stage, and between the four of us, it's such a rush, you know, that
Yeah.
pretty indescribable, actually.
Well, you've got an awesome career. I mean, even, starting out with Buddy Guy and your dad calling up Buddy Guy, it's like, that's one of those things. Oh, don't, he'll never answer the phone kind of thing, right? And
Right. Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
not now, but I mean, those are those limiting beliefs we have in our heads of like, don't do this. So, we're already making the decision for the other person, which is wrong, actually,
Exactly.
right? So
Exactly.
your dad, like, has such a cool attitude about things. I mean, that's a good lesson for all of us. But like, I know you teach as well.
Mhm.
Pointers for those getting out there and thinking, oh God, the music industry is dead. It's too hard being independent. It's this, it's that. And Foghat looks pretty independent to me, which is pretty darn cool. And over 50 years, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about it, it is possible. It's about your mindset and how you do things, right? So any
Everything's about
tips?
that.
Yeah, because I mean, you've got to have played with so many amazing musicians over your
Mhm.
career. Like just, I mean, even with Buddy Guy, I mean, and I want to wear
Yeah.
polka dots for the rest of my life, you know? But yeah, any tips for musicians getting started out there?
Yeah, you know, everything you said's true. I mean, it is hard. And in some ways the music business is absolutely nothing like it was 10, 20 years ago.
Mm,
Or when Foghat started or when I started. And it's constantly changing. The thing about music for me anyway is that's all it's been about from the beginning. You know, my definition of success isn't how many number one hits I've had or how many gold records or how much money I've made. It's that I've been able to play the music that I love and present it to people, and they've enjoyed it and let me know that they liked it. And in some ways, hopefully that's helped somebody at some point or given somebody some enjoyment or some hope or some, positive vibes or whatever. And if you go into this business with that intent, with the mindset of I just want to be a great musician, that's my goal, then you'll be fine. But
mm,
sometimes I used to make the joke, the worst thing that can happen to a musician is a steady paycheck, because you
yeah.
instantly quit being hungry. You're just like, I gotta hold on to this because this is how I'm paying my bills. And for me, the music business has been a real roller coaster. I mean, I've made bunches of money, I've made no money, I've played to tens of thousands of people, and I've played to two people. And so
Mm.
it's just up and down, and you just, it's me and my guitar, and that's all I need.
Well, and playing for two people can be actually pretty cool versus the
It
10.
wasn't.
Well, I don't
No,
know
it
the
wasn't cool
10,000.
at all.
Oh, okay. Well,
Was it
there,
cool
that went
though?
out that window. Yeah. Because sometimes they say, oh, the nice intimate audience is what you tell yourself when you're doing it, right? And then
Well,
no.
if I'm playing for my wife, then yeah, playing to one person's cool. But when
Yeah.
you know you got to pay a band, and they're all
Oh,
standing,
yeah.
you know,
Now
where's this
that's not
money coming
cool.
from? No, it wasn't
What
cool.
what is the weirdest gig you've ever done? Can you off the top of your head? Like,
The weirdest gig I ever played was a gig that I played in Salt Lake City with my band, and I live in Tennessee, so this was driving out to Utah. It was part of a tour
oh
that,
man.
well, it was like a 2 week tour, and my agent neglected to tell me that the venue had wanted to cancel the show, and he was trying to force the show to happen. So we show up. They've done no
Wow.
advertising. They're a little bit, hacked at us for even being there. We didn't know any of this. So we set up and start playing to the bartender, and he's the only one in there. And we took a break and we said, what do you want us to do? And he said, well, you got to keep playing until 1 o'clock or you don't get paid. So we said, okay. So we get back on stage and start playing again, and he leaves. So we're the only people in there. The band is the only people in there. That's the strangest gig I've ever played in my life. But
That is bizarre.
I played
That's
the
like a
one and I got
rehearsal.
paid. It was
That
exactly like a rehearsal.
so that was less than two people. So yeah,
Yeah,
you've gone from 0 to 10,000.
exactly. So
And the 10,000, do you ever get like, oh, dang, that's like 10,000 people nervous at all? Or do you just line that kind of nerves out?
I don't really get nervous. I get excited when we play, but I don't, I'm not, I don't know. I'm not afraid of it. I love it. The more people, the
Yeah.
better. That's what we do. So,
I think that's your strength too, what you say about being the best musician you can be, so
mhm.
that when you go out, you have that confidence of knowing your stuff. If you don't know, am I going to hit this note? Am I going to do, am I, that's like
Yeah.
the death, man. That sucks.
Well, I'm a firm believer in manifestation, believing
Mhm.
and envisioning things and making it happen. And that's kind of, that's certainly how I got in this band.
Mhm.
We were all wanting to work together, and it didn't present itself as a possibility for a long time. And then all of a sudden everything just clicked. And I believe that's because we manifested it. We wanted it to happen.
Oh, wow. So do they believe that way too? The rest of the band kind of that
I think
positive
so. I
juju?
think so. Well, yeah, I mean, they're all positive. It's funny.
Looks like
This
it.
band, the band and the crew, everybody on the road with us, I've been in situations where it's not very pleasant being on the road, or somebody's in a bad mood, or
Oh,
somebody's not
that
having a good
sucks.
day or whatever. And it's tough. That doesn't happen in this band. Everybody, I don't know whether it's because we lift each other up or everybody's just naturally positive, but it's just, we're always glad to see each other. Nobody's like turning the corner going, oh, these guys again.
Oh God, I
It's
know. No
always a
Fleetwood
up.
Mac drama.
No. I mean, we're on nights off on the road. We're all going to dinner together. Nobody's like
Sweet.
feeling off by themselves. So it's just a really good situation.
Yeah.
Good bunch of people.
Now, okay, just because we road trip, right? And I mean,
Mhm.
permanent road trip, everyone's like, do you have an RV? Like, no, because we go down stupid roads that we shouldn't, you know? And so, and yeah, I do. RAV4, everybody. Um, what is the worst tour vehicle that you've been in to the best?
The worst tour vehicle. Oh man, we did a string of dates. No, that wasn't the worst one. I don't know. I guess the worst would just be like a minivan if you had to go a long distance.
Like
But
a soccer mom's minivan?
yeah, something like that.
Not
'Cause
even like an old, VW kind of road trip one. Like
no,
the
those are kind of
minivan.
cool sometimes. That would be
Those
kind
are
of cool.
cool. We call those
Yeah.
combis from Africa, but like, yeah, I mean, you mean soccer mom van.
Yeah, I mean for when I was with Buddy, of course, it was tour buses, and then when I did my thing, for the most part, it was the good old Ford Econoline van, that
Those
had,
are okay-ish,
you could kind of get relaxed in one of those, and then we shifted to the Sprinters, and so you had more room, you could stand up in those, and then when I get with Foghat now, it's we're mostly flying, so it's rare that we
Wow,
have to do any driving, so that's kind of a
that's
nice,
sweet.
yeah.
Now, what about Europe? Are you guys going to Europe?
I hope so. I really do. I haven't been to Europe since I was with Buddy. and I miss it. I enjoyed being over there. I didn't get to see everything that I wanted to see, so I'd like another chance to get over
And
there.
the audience really appreciates this kind of music,
European
man. They
audiences,
get it.
everywhere we went overseas when I was with Buddy, and I traveled the world. We went to every country. Every country was so receptive and so excited and so energetic and appreciative of the music, way more so than American audiences, which I always found strange. But I think it's because we have, as Americans, we have all that music right here, so we kind of take it for granted because it's around us all the time, you know. And you know, you go to some of these other countries and they don't have that kind of access, so it's a little more of a precious thing to them.
No, because you traveled a lot as a kid, right? Does it kind of feel natural for you to be a touring musician?
Oh
This kind
yeah,
of,
yeah.
yeah,
If I stay home too long, my wife will look at me like, you need to be on the road, don't you?
time. It's just
Yeah.
like when you have like guests that, you know, family come to visit and it goes past the 3-day limit. It's like, all
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
starting to smell in the
Yeah,
house.
yeah, you got to move on
Starting
now.
start to go. Now, are you listening to any new music that people should know about, like new upcoming musicians, or
You
do you
know,
stick kind of in the old school, or?
I'm very much a old school. I mean, my record collection is heavy in old blues and jazz and Jimi Hendrix, of course.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
you know, I was just listening to John Lee Hooker a minute ago, so that was the early morning coffee record this morning.
yeah.
And I know there's, you know, I know there's a young guy, Kingfish is his
Mm-hmm.
name, the guitar player. He's great. I've heard a lot of his stuff. There's some great music being made out there by younger people, and I'm glad for that because, you know, that's what means it's going to stay alive and it's going to keep going, and that's all you can hope for, you know.
Yeah, especially for the blues, man. We want to keep
Yeah,
that going. And isn't Buddy's son doing some guitar work
I
now
think his
too?
buddy's son is playing
Mhm.
guitar. I've seen him on the road with Buddy,
Mhm.
and you know, it's good to see that. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
Buddy gave me my start, and he taught me
yeah.
everything I know. So, you know, I try to do that as much as I can for anybody else coming up behind me. So,
Yeah, yeah. Zakiya Hooker, she's been on our show. Actually, I talked to her just a couple days ago. She's getting ready to put out a new album. Have you listened to any of her music, Johnny's
I've heard,
daughter?
yeah, I've heard some of her stuff. I like it. It's great.
Man, she's good. And
Yeah.
she delves off the blues a little bit into country. Her last album had a little country roots, and her
Yep.
husband, Christopher Olin Bell, was a natural four, old school
Oh, okay.
R&B, like, you know, in the jackets and the whole
Yeah.
dance routines and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, good stuff. And they do some duets, and I'm like, you guys like do a theater production or something, you know,
Right.
because
Right.
it just this history of music is that's what I love with the sounds of Foghat. You guys have you managed to keep these roots up, but also be fresh in the sound. And I think
Right.
that's what I love about it. It's like fresh new music time, the stuff that we really love and enjoy. So good stuff, man.
Thank you.
Excited.
Thank you. I am
Very
too.
excited. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. Again, foghat.com is the website. And as we were saying, you got to go get the album again, November 10th. It is out, but you can order it now. Sonic Mojo is the name. It's one of the best album names out there, as I was saying. So go get it. There's all kinds of pre-packaging and bundles and autograph copies and all that good stuff. And if you go to foghat.com, check out their touring schedule. Coming up, Fort Myers, Florida, Laughlin, Nevada. Oh, the Edgewater Resort. I've been there. Gary, Indiana. You're going to Wisconsin, San Juan Capistrano, California, Atlantic City, Alberta, Canada. You're crossing the borders there.
Yeah.
Washington State, Parker, Colorado, Solana Beach, San Diego buddies. I'm telling you, got to go. And of course, we want to give a shout out to our friends at the Lion and the Rose Bed and Breakfast. Anytime there's rock or blues or heavy metal, hard rock, they're like, we want it. So lion-rose.com if you're going to Asheville, North Carolina. And of course, we're bigblendradio.com. Thank you so much, Scott. It has been a true pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you, Lisa. I've enjoyed talking to you.